Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'll be talking about the Vilna dispute and how the League of Nations handled it in the 1920s. This is useful for A-level and IGCSE history. Okay, so we're going to begin with a very brief overview. So Poland and Lithuania were both new states created after World War I. The borders of Eastern Europe were redefined and many new states were created from the Treaty of Versailles, and Poland and Lithuania were two states that were created as a result of this. Lithuania was given Vilna to be its capital because historically and politically, the Lithuanians had a close tie to Vilna, but the population was a majority Polish, so obviously the Poles weren't too happy about this. And this caused disputes as they continued to dispute over border territories. So here we can see this is Poland, this is Lithuania, and Vilna is here. Okay, so what actually happens in the Vilna crisis? So in 1920, because of the disputes over this territory, the Poles aggressively seize Vilna. They take control of the capital of Lithuania. And Lithuania appeals to the League of Nations for help. Their own capital had just been taken. The League of Nations first negotiates an armistice between the two, but the armistice does not hold. Neither power really respects it. So the League of Nations carries out its investigation. It identifies Poland as the aggressor and orders them to withdraw. This is a formal league order. They demand a plebiscite and a negotiated compromise. But both of these proposals were rejected by the Poles. The Poles failed to listen to the league's orders. They just defied them and kind of did as they wanted to. And in 1922, 2 years after the crisis began, Poland formally annexes Vilna. The League hadn't done anything to stop this, and Poland takes the Lithuanian capital as part of its own territory, formally. And in 1923, the League has no option but to passively accept it. They had failed, they hadn't been able to do anything, they hadn't been able to enforce their resolution or the decision. So now on to evaluation. Was the Vilna crisis a success or failure for the League of Nations? There is really no other way to spin this but to say that it was a failure, and it was the League's first big test. It showed how the League of Nations was left powerless without the support of the big powers, so Britain and France. And Britain and France both supported Poland because if we look at the location of Poland, it was right on the border with Germany. So they didn't want to go against Poland. They wanted to kind of help and have good relations with Poland so they could contain potential German expansionism or ambition. It also showed how the League of Nations was marginalized by the Conference of Ambassadors, who recognized Polish sovereignty over Vilna. So the League, basically, it was just ignored. They weren't listened to at all. It also showed how it was unable to deal with the aggression of a larger power onto a weaker state. This is also seen in 1923 with Corfu. I have another YouTube video on that if you want to check that out. But essentially, Poland, the bigger and stronger country, was left to do as it pleased with a weaker, smaller state, and the League couldn't do anything to stop this from happening. It also showed how the League lacked military power to enforce any of its decisions, and it set a bad precedent for the League of Nations because Polish defiance of the League's decision went unpunished. Thank you for watching this YouTube video. If you have any other questions, please leave them in the comments below. If you have any recommendations for any future videos, leave them in the comments below. And if you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe.